What if the most thrilling financial decision you could ever make is to be profoundly, mind-numbingly boring? In a world of flashing crypto charts, meme stocks going to the moon, and teenage TikTok gurus promising 100x returns, the idea of slow, steady, and predictable growth sounds like a relic from a forgotten time. We are sold a story of genius, of risk, of that one brilliant move that changes everything. We celebrate the person who bet it all on a long shot and won, because their story is exciting. It's a movie. But what if that movie is a fantasy designed to sell you lottery tickets disguised as investments? What if the real story of wealth creation isn't a dramatic sprint, but a long, quiet, and deliberate walk? We're told to pick the winners, but we're never told that for the vast majority of us, that game is rigged from the start. Today, we're going to deconstruct that myth. We're going to look at the simple, almost insultingly straightforward strategy of building a boring portfolio. We'll explore the math that makes it nearly unstoppable and the psychology that makes it so difficult to follow. Because the secret to becoming a millionaire isn't about finding the next big thing. It's about understanding the most powerful force in the universe and having the discipline to let it do its work. Most people believe that building wealth requires a secret, a special insight, an informational edge, the courage to zig when everyone else zags. We see it in the headlines every day. GameStop's unlikely surge, the Bitcoin millionaire next door. These stories are intoxicating because they validate a core belief that with enough cleverness or luck, you can shortcut the system. The evidence seems to be everywhere. You hear about a friend who bought Dogecoin as a joke and paid off their house. You see a fund manager on TV explaining their complex strategy for beating the market. The entire financial media industry is built on this premise, that you, the individual, can and should be making active, brilliant decisions with your money. The accepted wisdom is that being passive is for suckers. It's an admission that you're not smart enough to play the real game. But what if the smartest move is to refuse to play that game at all? What if the overwhelming data shows that the more you trade, the more you tinker, the more you try to be a genius, the worse you do? If that's true, why does the myth of the heroic stock picker persist so powerfully? To understand why, we need to look at this through the lens of a force more powerful than any market trend: compound interest. Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. Put simply, it's the process of your money making money, and then that new money making even more money. It's an exponential curve. It starts impossibly slow, almost invisibly. But over time, it becomes an unstoppable avalanche of growth. A stock market index fund, which is just a basket that holds tiny pieces of hundreds or thousands of the biggest companies, is the most boring, perfect vehicle for this force. You're not betting on one company's success. You're betting on the long-term growth of the entire economy. Now, let's re-examine a moment of pure terror, a market crash. The common perception is, I lost 30% of my money. It's a moment of failure. But through the lens of compounding, a crash is something else entirely. It's a sale. It's a fire sale on the greatest wealth-generating engine in history. The person who panics and sells locks in their losses. But the boring investor, the one who keeps buying automatically, month after month, is now buying more shares for the same amount of money. They're not just recovering when the market turns. They're slingshotting past their old highs because they accumulated assets when they were cheap. This is our first major revelation. The greatest financial risk isn't experiencing a crash. It's being on the sidelines for the recovery. If this mathematical engine is so powerful, then why doesn't everyone just do this? Because we can't ignore the most brutal test of this theory, the lost decade. From 2000 to the end of 2009, the S&P 500 produced a total return of basically zero. A full 10 years of investing in the boring way, and you had nothing to show for it. This is where the math meets the raw, messy reality of human emotion. People who followed the rules felt betrayed. Their discipline was punished. Their patience was met with stagnation. It's one thing to endure a sharp, painful crash that recovers in a year or two. It's another thing entirely to pour your savings into a black hole for a decade. If the system is capable of this, if it can fail you for an entire decade, then what is the real foundation of this strategy? If it isn't just the math, what are we really betting on? To answer that, we have to go deeper than the numbers, into the source of our own financial fear. The feeling of watching your life savings evaporate, even on paper, is visceral. It triggers the same primal fight-or-flight response as a physical threat. Every headline, every news report confirms your terror. Your own brain screams at you to do something. Sell, get out, stop the bleeding. This panic is not a character flaw. It's a survival instinct. We see this pattern throughout history, from the Dutch tulip mania in the 1600s to the dot-com bubble of the late 90s. In every case, human psychology overrode logic. People bought at the peak of euphoria and sold at the bottom of despair. The boring strategy isn't just a financial thesis. It's a psychological one. It's a pre-commitment to act against your own worst instincts. It's an admission that in the moments that matter most, you can't trust yourself to make a rational decision. To understand why this passive approach ultimately wins, you have to understand that its true purpose is to protect you from yourself. But I know what you're thinking. What about the exceptions? What about the legends? What about Warren Buffett? He is the single greatest living argument against this entire thesis. He's the ultimate stock picker, a genius who has consistently beaten the market for over half a century. His story seems to refute everything we've just said. But this is where we find the most profound twist. Let's deconstruct the virtue of Warren Buffett. First, he doesn't play the same game as us. He buys entire companies or massive stakes that give him influence. He has a team of analysts. He reads financial documents for 8 hours a day. His success is not evidence that you can be a great stock picker. It's evidence that you can't, unless you make it your entire life's work. But here is the final, reinforcing truth. What does Warren Buffett, the greatest active investor in history, repeatedly advise his own family and the vast majority of people to do with their money? He tells them to buy a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Even his greatest triumph is, in reality, a quiet endorsement of his greatest flaw as a role model. His life's work serves as the ultimate proof that you should do the exact opposite of what he does. So here is the complete picture. We are drawn to the allure of fast, exciting gains, a story sold to us by a system that profits from our activity. But the unshakable, silent force of compound interest offers a more reliable path. This path is tested not by market crashes, but by our own psychological inability to stay the course during those crashes, or even during long periods of stagnation. The final breaking point for most investors is not a number on a screen, but a feeling in their gut, the overwhelming urge to abandon the plan when it feels like it's failing. We've seen that even the icon of active investing validates the boring path for nearly everyone else. We have built the machine, and we understand the psychology needed to not break it. So what does it actually mean to reach the end? Now that we understand the engine that drives us there, what does the destination really look like? The answer changes everything.